I gotta play that again. That is from the they call it the Amen break, and that is from the Winstons. The Winstons. This is a group from back in the day. That was back in '69 by Gregory Sylvester, and yeah, that was a break. Man, hip hop used that break and wore it out, and still is wearing it out. So we're gonna, I just want to give you just a taste of what we're gonna be getting into tonight. And welcome to another broadcast. So glad that you guys can join us this evening. I'm gonna put some music on in the meantime while we are getting ourselves together here on this end. And let me see what I got here. I'll go with that. That's fine. I'll go with that. All right. So glad everybody can join us here. Sorry for starting a little late tonight. Things just kind of caught up at the last minute here. But we're here. Someone said, oh, snap, I caught her live. Good. I'm glad you're here, too. Nicole's going to be joining us this evening. And we're going to have a good old time tonight going into some very interesting history. Talking about, amongst other things, we're going to get into some watermelon tonight. So throughout tonight's broadcast, we're going to be eating some watermelon and we're going to get into some history. My. Yeah, I would burp, but I can't bring y'all all the way in my house like that. We're just giving people some time to get in, and we're gonna get in tonight. We're gonna get into some watermelon tonight. I'm also gonna be I got my blender up here. We're gonna make some drinks, some watermelon drinks tonight too. And yes, these are the ones with the seeds. I will fight people over the win. Don't be giving me that tranny fruit. Don't be giving me that tranny fruit. That don't work here. We want fruit that know its purpose. We're gonna give people another minute to get on here. And then we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm looking at the time, y'all. This ain't no mukbang or whatever they call it, where you're gonna be watching me eat all night. I gotta put that down. Yeah, we don't do the seedless stuff over here. No. You can't do that. Like I said, I don't do the tranny fruit. We gonna only eat fruit up in here that know what it's about and know what its purpose is. For real. No confused fruits and vegetables up in here. To the best of our ability, they be sneaking stuff in here, and then you don't even know. You think you know, but it ain't what it is, But tonight, this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be one, like I said, if you got some, you can eat along with us. We're gonna learn some new things tonight, well, new to some people. and we're gonna really get into it. We're gonna get right into we're gonna get into it tonight. So again, welcome everybody to another broadcast. This is every Fridays. We typically do, we try to do a broadcast to kind of wrap up the week. Touch on some of the news items, things that have happened during the week, or things that we think is should be discussed or talked about, and we try to stay away from, as much as we can, stuff that really isn't. I mean, it's good to know, but sometimes we can stay in the negative a little bit too long, and that's it. But I don't really like to do that. I like talking about things that we can learn from, and we can build on it, and we can move forward on it. Not just, oh, it's Friday. You out of work, you out of Master's Palace, and you come home and you turn on YouTube, and we talking about, the world is such a bad place. I mean, wouldn't that be something I wouldn't want to come home to that. So we don't do that. We try to look at things, from a more constructive way, and what we can learn from it, and move on from there, and that's it. So glad to have you guys here. Everybody that's in the chat, I'm so glad to have you guys here as well. We're there was a time we were broadcast here and on BondTube at the same time, but we're just broadcasting right now here on YouTube. We save all of our videos, so in the event of an emergency, meaning that YouTube decides to pull the plug for some reason, or the internet decides to pull the plug or something, we have backup. So we also have our mybondtube.com. That is our video streaming platform that we have. Is open to everybody, nothing hidden. You can go to it at any time, and we have all kinds of videos on there, ranging from educational, teaching, movies, documentaries, news items, you name it. We have quite a spread on there, all for our people, and you can get on it at any time. Again, the website is mybondtube.com, mybantube.com. That's the website. Okay, so we have that tonight. Before I go ahead and start talking a little bit here, we are going to look at, I know the title certainly threw some of y'all off there, but don't worry, it's going to make sense in a little bit. Tonight, we're going to look at our history, as we've been doing, but we're going to really delve into our history, and, because what has been happening for some time, is an avalanche of never-ending confusion. That's probably the best way I can put it, when it comes to our people. The other night when I was live on my BondTube, I said something. I said, our history is not a mystery. It's not. Now, there are things that we may not know, and we're just finding out. But the things that we're finding out are literally things that are been right in our faces, for a long time. So it's not a lot of our history and our identity and who we are, it's not trapped up in some book somewhere that you got to pay thousands of dollars to get it. It's not tucked away in some other ancient books and excerpts or anything like that. You are a living, breathing testament of your ancestors, and your ancestors, just like you're going forward, to your parents or whatever. When your parents got together, inside of you have a deposit of your mother's side and a deposit of your father's side as well. And in that deposit lies so many things that was passed down from generation to generation to generation. Many of those things you do instinctively, and you don't even realize it. It could be an expressed idea, and that maybe you had an idea to do artwork, or to be a cook, or to be a gardener, or whatever it may be, and you think that just came on your own, but actuality, when you go into your history, you'll see that a lot of those things that you're manifesting now, whatever those things may be, came from a long line of your own people. And that's why it's so crucial and important for us to make sure that we keep that clean and direct. When I say clean, I mean making sure that we are not putting any additives into the mix. We talk about on this platform, how, a lot of these foods that we get out of the grocery store, they put a lot of additives and preservatives and natural flavors and stuff like that. Well, when it comes to our history and our identity, we have to be even more so very aggressive in making sure that we're not allowing any additives or preservatives to come part of of our discovery and who we are. And so that's what we're trying to do. And again, you're talking hundreds of years of this has lies and deceptions and things that have been compounded on us, that it's going to take some time, really to untangle and to unwind and to rediscover, those things that make us who we are. And so there is going to be a correlation between. So you're going to see that by the end of tonight, the watermelon is just a symbol. What you're going to see is by the end of tonight, you either are going to take the side of the watermelon. You're going to be on team watermelon, or you're going to be on team Moreh or team black preacher. Okay. No, that sounds crazy, don't it? Which team are you going to be on tonight? Are you going to be on team watermelon tonight? Or are you going to be on team black preacher or Moreh? Okay. Now, the things we're going to be talking about tonight, don't worry, I'm not mentioning anybody's names out here. Well, there's one person I may mention his name, but other than that, I ain't calling out anybody and all this other stuff. I'm not doing all of that. Okay. Like I said, there's one example that I'm going to use, but other than that, no, I'm not doing any of that at all. So, if by chance someone out here, they go, ouch, he's hitting too close here, I'm going to have to do a video. If that happens, then well, the target must have hit 100%, because I ain't mentioned nobody's names. You understand what I'm saying? So they're going to just be telling on themselves. If any of these people want to choose to react or to respond or anything like that, but I'm not mentioning anybody in particular. Like I said, again, there's one person I will mention, but other than that, I don't need to. So anyway, that's what we're going to get into tonight. And we're going to talk about that. Nicole will be with us in a little bit. And she's going to be sharing some things too, some other wonderful things that we've learned just very recently. And it has something to do with, I'm not going to say anything else, but she'll tell you. So we're going to talk about that. Let's see. So tonight, I know Fridays is typically, hey, 1 a.m. Typically, Friday nights are when we do our movie night. I know we didn't do it last week, but we're not going to do it again this week. Okay. I'm not, it's been a long week. It's been a long week. So after this, I'm going to have to just dive in. I'm going to have to dive in and just find me a corner somewhere and go sit down somewhere, because it's been a long week. Okay. So we'll figure something out. Perhaps we'll make it up on Sunday or something. No, I'm not, don't hold me to that, but we'll make it up somehow. Okay. And that's it. So I just want to let you know that. Also, tomorrow, we're not going to have any Samba teaching. That will not happen tomorrow. Okay. I think I did one last week. I believe I did. Yeah, I think we did one last week. So yeah, just go back. It's already been uploaded. It's been uploaded. So I would advise, if you missed it or maybe you saw part of it, you can go back and watch it. And along with any of the other teachings or lessons that we've done, it's all on my BondTube. It's all right there. Okay, you could do that. And of course, if you have any questions of me or my wife, on any of the things that we talk about or share on this platform, you can always reach out to us. We have an email address. It's connect@journeymanandwoman.com. Again, it's connect@journeymanandwoman.com. You can email us at any time. And if you have any questions at all, okay? So that's just wanted to let you know about that. Try to think if there's anything else at all that's going on that I need to talk about, share, discuss real quick, or touch on. Let me see something here real quick here. Hold on for a second here. I'll go here. Hold on. Did I have anything at all? Oh yeah, I am working on a video. I will be working on a video in the next couple of days. I told you I visited a village. It's a majority black village right here in New Jersey. And it's been that way since before the Civil War, right before the Civil War. And it's still a lot of black folks that live there, and they got some nice pieces of land. And, it's a nice place. It's not that too far from here. And I've driven by it many times and didn't even know. So I've already got some footage. I'll go back and get some more footage. And my hope is I'll be able to connect with some people there and do some interviews as well. And so we can get some more information. So anyway, so that's what I'm working on as far as that's concerned. And I might have a few other many ones that I may be coming up with. So anyway, let me go to here. Let's start the conversation with this. Okay. I think I'm going to start it tonight. We're going to start off with this. All right. So this is a short that I actually uploaded yesterday. And first, I'll play this one first. Meat falling off the bone. I know y'all seen this one already, but check out this meat. Just got these ribs off the grill and meat falling off the bone. I know you want some. Yes. Happy 4th of July, family. Look at that. Look at that meat. It was falling off the bone. Yeah. Just got him off the grill. He just got him off the grill, so it's fresh. Nobody out here, if you claim to be a Hebrew, I'm just talking Hebrews right now, but also you can say the same thing about those that are saying, I didn't come from Africa. There's some people, they just lose their minds. I didn't come from Africa. I was always here. So the challenge that I put to these people in both of these groups here, be it if you claim to be native to this land or you claim to be a Hebrew, the challenge that I put forth is a very simple one. And the challenge was this. Okay, name me the recipes that was passed down that you can say is distinctively a Hebrew recipe. Name it. And I say the same thing for the people who say, I'm 100% native to this land. I never came from Africa. Okay, fine. Name me the recipes, the dishes that your family cooked. That's instinctive. I mean, it has nothing to do with Africa. It's all 100% based on this land and this land only. Name them. So that's what we're going to be talking about. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to be looking at some more receipts. That's what we're going to look at. Because, see, that's what history is. History should not be something where you have to 100%. History has to be something that truly resonates with you to the point where you can actually point to your own household and say, you know what? It's more than just you hearing something and saying, oh, it sounds good and I like that. It's got to be something where you can actually put your hand on it and say, yep, that's me. That's who I am, and because I have a testimony, right? Because that's me. You have a witness. You are a witness to it. That's what history should be. That's what your true identity should be tied into, not anything else. Not where you have to listen to someone on YouTube telling you who you are. That's not that. The information that you get on YouTube or some of these other platforms, they can be helpful. But if you cannot take that information and 100% apply it, look at it and hold it up. Some of y'all remember back in the day when, this was growing up in the 70s and 80s or whatever, when you would get your film developed, you'll get the pictures, but they'll also give you the negatives. And you remember you will hold the negatives up and just look at it. And that's what you should be able to do. You should be able to hold that up to what they're saying, apply it, hold it up to your own life and see that, hey, there's a match. There's some matches here. That's what it should be. And anything less, then it's just a joyride for the most part. That's what it is. And so so that's what we're going to be doing. So anyway, so we're going to be into the watermelon tonight, but I want to start off getting into this story right here. And I talked about this on the community page. I'm actually going to read this, okay? Now, for those of you who have been following us for some time, you know, we have been spending a great deal of time, you know, for, again, starters, understanding that many of us that are African-American, Black American, whatever you want to call yourself, if you look at our background, you'll see that we are a mixture of many of quite a few African cultures. OK, and also there's some European in there. Some of y'all have some Asian thrown in there, too, you know, but for the most part, if you look at our genetic breakdown, if you will, our DNA, you'll see that many of us come from a mixture of different a variety of African cultures. Some are more prominent than others, but nonetheless, they're there. OK, and so one of the things that we focused on, you know, like I always say, if you want to understand a thing, if you want to understand something, you have to go to the roots. You have to go to the beginning. When you look at the transatlantic slave trade, the initial, I'm not saying all of those that came in the transatlantic slave trade were from this place, but the initial wave of those that came through the transatlantic slave trade, a good percentage of them, I would say even a majority of them initially, came from the Kingdom of Congo. Okay. And we spent a great deal of time. We've done a lot of videos on that. I mean, a lot of videos, a whole lot of videos on that, going through the history and all of that. I mean, it was just this, and then we were just scratching the surface. Now, one of the things I remember when we were doing these videos, you know, again, we start getting into, because if you're going to understand, you know, when you're putting your focus and attention on a particular group of people, you have to kind of understand, what did the people believe? What did they practice? What did they say? And so forth and so on. One of the things that we came across is their word for God or the Most High was, there's a test here. What was it? It was Nzambi. Remember? The name that they used was Nzambi. And that was the word that's the name that they used for the creator, the one who created all of heaven and earth. It's Nzambi. If you go to Congo today, that's what they use. If you listen to like a lot of their like gospel music or whatever, their Christian music, many of the songs, when they're referring to God, they don't say God, they will say Nzambi, because they're referring to the creator, the Most High. Some people say Most High, right? But that's when they say Nzambi, that's what they're referring to. And for some people, as we were kind of discovering these things, that you had some people who were saying, hey, listen, I'm just going to start saying Nzambi. It's just as a way of trying to, you know, get, you know, we're discovering, you know, it's like you're going through a closet, if you will, of all kinds of things. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna start, you know, you come through a closet, let's say, for example, and let's say there's like a coat. Man, this thing pretty cool. Let me put this thing on, you know. And some people were like, hey, I'm gonna start saying Nzambi, whatever, you know. And you had Hebrews, because see, I'll never forget this. And I'm gonna keep on saying this over and over again. They may want to try to forget this, but I ain't forgetting this. You had people within the Hebrew sphere who were saying that Nzambi meant that it was the god of the zombies. They were accusing us and other people who were saying that as being practitioners of witchcraft. And a lot of these ministries are still in existence to this very day. And I'll even go further. Some of y'all who are listening to me right now, still, that just water over your head. You just kind of just ain't no, you know, you just went along with it. But yes, you had people within the Hebrew space that were accusing us, and pretty much accusing all of Congo, for that matter, of being practitioners of witchcraft because they were using a name for the creator that was different than the name that they were using. Which, by the way, the name that they're using is for a Canaanite god, a moon god. You know, we did a video on that. Yahweh. We did a whole video on that. All you got to do is check it. I have one person that's still trying, but yeah, check out this video. This is what they still trying to get out of it. And I'm like, it don't matter. This is what it is. This is historically accurate. It's true. Yahweh, it came from, it's a Canaanite deity. It's a Canaanite moon deity, which later on, when the Egyptians, they got their hands on it, because remember, Canaan was a part of Egypt. See, this is another thing that your Bible doesn't put in there. Canaan was part of Egypt. It was part of what they refer to as the New Kingdom. And so, and see, these are why we're asking questions. We're investigating, right? So yeah, Canaan was part of Egypt, and it was it was referred to as the New Kingdom. This is why there's so many different artifacts and stuff that they're finding to this day that are all Egyptian. It's not because they bought them from Egypt. It was because it was Egypt. I mean, they're finding all kinds of stuff that's there. It's all Egyptian. We showed even a coin of King Hezekiah, that they found. And on the coin, it has the winged god on there. It has it has Hebrew on it. And then you flip it on the other side, it has Ra and all that stuff on there too. We've shown all of this. We've showed all of this, and it's very open. It's all public information. You can look all this stuff up yourself. So anyway, I don't want to get too far off in that. So this is what we were getting. This is the energy that we were getting back from people who were church-minded, church people, so not just people who are in the Christian space, but also people who basically change hats from the Christian space, and now they're Hebrew, but they're still very much acting like they were in the church. And so Christianity always had a dim view when it came to African practices. Always did. This is a tell sign. Anytime when you hear of anybody, I don't care if they call themselves Hebrew, I don't care if they call themselves whatever, Seventh-day Adventist, it don't matter. When it comes, you can always tell, they will always tell on themselves by the way they view Africa. Always. And so when we start talking about, the Bantu part of it and just the impact that Bantus had, just in what they would call the New World, the Americas, and, just all over. And, their belief system, we start talking about that and being very careful and saying, hey, listen, we're not telling people that you got to embrace all of Bantu spirituality or anything like that, because we're just kind of going through all of this stuff and kind of learning more about what who these people were, what they believed, and seeing if it matches with what our own history, right? And that's what we were doing. But you had channels that are still in existence today that were out here just coming after us hard. They were attacking our business. They were attacking us. They were putting all kinds of lies out about us, saying all kinds of stuff that we were encouraging people to use rocks as a way of worshiping God and all this other nonsense and stuff like that. And they just go right along like it's nothing, still to this day, like it's nothing. And will cry when someone calls them out. But anyway, so this is so the attitude that when we started bringing this stuff out, when we started going in and started really like saying, wait a minute, there's a lot more to our story than this whole Hebrew narrative. And when we start digging into that and start finding Africa everywhere we look, we're like, wait a minute, we like this town. Let's stay in this town a little bit because there's more things about this thing. It's resonating a little bit more here. And people have problems with that. And so anyway, let me go on here. So what I'm gonna do is that we're gonna start off in South Carolina. We're gonna start in South Carolina with a very interesting story that you guys may have heard of, but it's a very, very, very good story. We're gonna start off in South Carolina, then we're gonna go in about this watermelon. Okay, we're gonna talk about this watermelon, okay, and the significance of it. But anyway, one other thing I do want to say on that note, and then we'll just go right in. We'll go take a trip down 95 down to South Carolina here right quick. Is that a lot of these individuals that you see out today that call themselves Morehs. Now, for some of you, you may not be aware of this, so let me help you out, okay? Now, again, there are people who may call themselves Morehs, and they pretty nice people, or they're doing the best they can with what they know. Okay. So this is not meant to be a derogatory as in a personal attack on anyone in particular. It's not. Okay. What we're looking at is the position. That's what we're looking at. Okay. And what the position has meant for us as a people. That's what we're talking about. Okay. We're not talking about we're not going in we ain't talking about someone's mama. We ain't talking about anybody's children. We're not doing any of that petty stuff, okay? Which is looking at the position. Let's start off with the preacher. Let's start off with just a regular black preacher. The purpose and the main role of the preacher is to make sure that you stay tied to the Bible, okay? So however they preach, they may have a good voice. They can sing. They can, go through all they can take you through all that stuff. But all what they do, at the end of the day, their mission, their goal is to make sure they keep you tied to the book that was given to you by your oppressors. That's their goal at the end of the day. It doesn't, you can't get around it. That's their mission. That's their goal. They may be very nice people. They may be very loving. They may be very helpful. They may have helped you when you were in a hard place or whatever. But besides all of that, at the end of the day, that is their job. That's their responsibility. Now, likewise, when you get to people who may have left, quote unquote, the churchianity, whatever you want to call it, and now I'm a Hebrew now. And so you left that space and now you're a Hebrew. So now you look down at the people in the church and like, yeah, these people, they need to get out of this church, man. They need to come over to Hebrew land because we much better over here, but not really realizing that you pretty much one of the same people. Because why? You're using the same manual that they're using. You're using the same manual. It's like if I have a room, right? And on one side of the room, I got skinheads. On the other side of the room, I got the KKK. Now, you as a black person walking in that situation, it ain't really going to matter. Well, the KKK, they were really hardcore. Let me go over here to the skinheads. It doesn't matter. They still hate your black behind. It don't matter. Either way, they both. Why? Because they have a shared interest. All right. And that's preserving their whiteness, which, hey, that's what they want to do. They cool. You do that. But where it crosses with us is when you take that out on black folks. So their shared interest also includes a hatred towards you. So you're not safe in that room, period. Because why? They have a shared interest. Well, it's the same thing when you got Christians on one side of the room and Hebrews on the other side of the room. You have a shared interest. What's the shared interest? I'm glad you asked. It's the Bible. It's the preservation and the protection of the Bible. This same book, this manual that was given to you by your oppressors. Both have a shared interest in making sure they preserve it. Both of them do. So it doesn't matter. Now, one side may say, hey, listen, y'all whitewash this thing, and this book is really talking about us. So we're the ones that are really talking. It don't matter. Okay, so that's the case. You're still preserving it. Like I said, now this is the one person, like I said, I would mention, and Ron Dalton. Now, Ron Dalton, as you know, he's Hebrews to Negroes. He did, books and movies and all that, and he will remind you to the nth degree about that, right? And so he, so everywhere he's like trying to take a step somewhere, it's like they just try to shut him down. I mean, like he's not on YouTube, social media, they really are on him on that, shadow banning him, doing all this stuff. When he wants to try to show his movie somewhere and then they shut him down there and all this stuff. So Ron has always been on this thing where he's saying, hey, listen, hey, just debate me. Y'all doing all this because you're afraid of me. You're afraid of me. That's what it is. You're afraid of me. They fear me. They fear my books. They fear my movies. He'll tell you that a million times. They fear me. It's all me. They fear me. That's what it is. They're scared of me. Let me help you out here. They're not scared of you. They ain't scared of us. Do you understand that we have history marker after history marker after history marker of people that the system was really afraid of and what happened to them? Do you think they just stopped at taking you off of social media? No, they will cut your head clean off. OK, and you will be under the river. OK, people that was really a threat. You were under the river. You were under the prison. You were under a mountain. You were in a cave. You were somewhere where they didn't hear from you ever again, period. That's how that works if you are really a threat. But them banning you, that's not a threat. It's really not a threat. It's what it is it's a use for them. These people play 3D chess. Let me explain. So in other words, it's this. If they were to say, okay, we are going to entertain this, we're going to debate, we're going to do a whole debate and all this other stuff, right? Let's say they did that. Okay, they do the debate. Then what? Okay, after they do the debate and, then there's going to be a lot of disagreements on, they cut me off and they didn't let me get my point in. So it's not really, it's going to be a zero sum game for either side on that. So they're not going to waste their time with that. They get more mileage. And I want you to hear this. They get more mileage in allowing a group of people to hold on to a book that's, as long as these people who they refer to as Goyim, as long as you hold on to this book and you're willing to preserve it with your life, that's okay with us. Y'all keep doing that, because as you're doing all of that, we over here doing our stuff. Okay. And I have video after video after video after video after video of rabbis after rabbi after rabbi confirming exactly what I'm saying. Would I play it on this platform? Definitely not, because they would be, you going after them people. No, I'm just, again, like I always do, let them speak. They'll tell you themselves. But they have said this over and over again. Their goal is to keep Christians stay stuck on Christianity, because if you look at Christianity as a whole, Christianity is all about preserving the Bible and protecting Israel. As long as you about protecting Israel, hey, listen, you all right with us. So they want the charade to continue. Do you understand what I'm saying? So any group of people that's willing to say, hey, listen, I'm going to die for this thing because my identity, don't you know, this is our history book. Well, you just gift wrap for them, because they're just like, okay, well, you going to defend it? You going to defend our thing? Okay, good. All right, fine. Defend it. That's just give us more time to do our thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I want you to understand that these folks ain't afraid. So I want to take you down a little bit off that pedestal there. They're not afraid of you. People that they're really afraid of, they will go to a full scale war against you, and you will not be in existence anymore. Do you hear what I'm saying? You will not be in existence anymore, period. You are done. You will be expired. That's how they move and operate, of people that they're really afraid of and intimidated by. Okay. So on that note, I think this provides a very good bridge to the story. We're going to get in our car. Don't worry, there's plenty of room in our car. If you're where I am, I'm in New Jersey. Let's just imagine for a moment, we're going to take a trip down to South Carolina. All right. South Carolina from here is about if I had to guess, I want to say about 9.5, 10 hours. I don't know. So we're going to take a trip and we're going to make it, down there. Okay. So let me get some little traveling music on. Let me see. Did I have my traveling music on? Hold on. Let me get my traveling music on. I'll play this again. I'll just play this again. And then, and you're going to see this all going to tie in a moment here. All right. So let me I'll play it twice. Y'all want to go to south of the border? No. Come on, tell me quick. All right, we here. All right, we done. All right, so we here. Okay, I don't hear no commercial. Okay, so now let's go on to this article here that I want to read to you. The title of it is called Congo's in, where is it? Congo in the Carolinas. Let's go ahead and pull this up here. And we're going to read this thing. I read this thing. Thank you, Jermaine, for reminding me of this. And let's go ahead and get into it, okay? All right, so let's go. Congo in the Carolinas, the African roots of the Stono Rebellion. All right, a group of about 20 veterans gathered near a bridge along the west branch of South Carolina's Stono River in the early morning light of September the 9th, 1739. These were let's see, provincial, if I'm saying that right, militiamen, but African slaves. With their appointed leader, Jimmy, directing the Africans, broke into a nearby storehouse kept by Robert Bathurst and a Mr. Gibbs. The rebels immediately seized the building store of firearms and ammunition, decapitated the two storekeepers, and laid their heads on the front stoop as they moved on. They were not playing. The band of rebels turned south next, plundering and burning the Godfrey plantation, where they killed two more white planters. As the march continued, more unsuspecting colonists would meet a similar fate. One colonist, recalling the incident, reported that they killed all the white people they found along with along the Ponds Road. By noon, at least 20 white colonists lay dead in their wake. This rising would become the largest and bloodiest slave rebellion in the history of mainland British North America. Yet its origins and explanations make it more than just a provincial American story. The rebels gained followers as they marched, and soon their numbers swelled to nearly 100 armed men. They constructed banners for their march and began to beat on drums. All of this is key. All of this is key. All of this is key. All right. The rebels gained followers as they marched, and soon their numbers swelled to nearly 100 armed men. They constructed banners for their march and began to beat on drums and to set in pace of the military fashion. As news of the slave rising spread, Lieutenant Governor William Bull raised the country, mustered the militia, and rushed to intercept the Africans near the Edisto River. Meanwhile, the band of rebels halted in a field near the river during the early afternoon. They performed traditional war dances, sang songs in Portuguese, English, and African dialects, and continued to beat the drums in the hopes of drawing more escaped slaves to their ranks. All of this, make sure you keep a bookmark on all of this. In typical slave insurrections, the mere sight of armed troops could cause escaping slaves to surrender, and Bull must have counted on this when they arrived with a mixed command of mounted planters and infantry militia at 4 in the afternoon. These slaves, however, in uncharacteristic fashion, behaved boldly and fired 2 organized volleys before the white planters could respond. Caught off guard, Bull's men nevertheless returned fire, killing or wounding at least 14 rebels. At this point, many of the latecomer slaves either surrendered or turned and fled. An organized unit of the rebellion's leadership, however, retreated across the river in good order. With nightfall approaching, Bull and his militia could not safely pursue their retreat. The leaders of the initial insurrection were reportedly Angolans, and suspected to have connections with Spanish Florida. Oh, Darlene. Hello, somebody, Darlene. Hello, Darlene. She said no shofar. on now. I'm sorry. She messed me up there. Hold on now. Hold on now. Hey, well, let me read on there. Woo, okay. Anyway, she said the leaders of the initial insurrection were reportedly Angolans and suspected to have connections with the Spanish Florida. Oh, man. Why am I saying, oh, man, the Spanish Florida? Spanish Florida. What was down in Florida? Those were the Maroons. The Maroons. The Maroons was a mixture of, and then you had the Black Samoans. Okay? The Black Samoans. They weren't just black because they were born here. They were black because their people, they were a mixture of Congolese, former Congolese slaves that actually came from the Caribbean and made their way up to the Florida Panhandle, and they intermingled with the Seminoles that were here. So they had a whole network. All right. So anyway, let me move on here. They spoke Portuguese, which many South Carolinians understood to be a dialect of Spanish, such as Scots is to English, and demonstrated certain adherences to the Catholic faith. One South Carolina planter around this time complained that many thousands of the Negroes professed the Roman Catholic religion, having learned its tenets in Africa before being brought to the New World. It is unclear what happened to the surviving rebels after a week of intermittent skirmishing, but it was quite possible that they made it to St. Augustine, their initial objective, or joined Creek Indians in the borderland between Georgia and Florida, where many runaway slaves found asylum during this period. So they were hooking up with the Indians down there, the natives down there, because they had shared interests, right? And so, do they go into the? Oh, okay. So I'll explain the whole Portuguese. Okay, so Portuguese, Portugal, Spain and Portugal. Let's talk about that for just a moment. Okay, so again, you have Hebrews that are teaching that we came out of Spain and Portugal. All right, we came out of Spain. So they will look at this and say, see, they were Portuguese. They were the black Portuguese. No, they were speaking Portuguese because the Portuguese enslaved the Congolese folks. And when you get enslaved, one of the things that happens is they change your language. All right. So that's what happened. That's why they were speaking Portuguese, not because they were Hebrew. It was because the people who were calling themselves that enslaved us. They were the ones that enslaved us and forced us into that language. So Portuguese, that's why they were speaking that. And then as far as the Catholic part is concerned, the Portuguese that came down, they were also Catholics too. So you had the whole, because that's what you remember we did we shared the Papa Bull. Okay, that's like a commandment that's issued by the Catholic Church that basically said you are to, if I remember correctly, what they basically said in this Papa Bull, what was declared by the Christian Church to them, what they said. Like I said, I'm just going by memory here. It's in video, one of these videos we did. But in short, what it said was that you are to treat people. They were talking about Africans, particularly in what they refer to as the sub-Saharan Africa. You are to treat them as the enemies of Christ because they are the enemies of Christ. That's what they said. They said, we are declaring that they are the enemies of Christ. That's how you to teach them. And they are to be permanently enslaved. That's our introduction to Christianity. Prior to that, there was no Christianity, in the sub-Saharan African area. There was not that. You had Christianity that came out of Egypt, but that's a whole nother story that we talked about as well. Okay, but anyway, let's move on. Okay. Okay, so let's move on here. Yeah, black Seminoles, not black Samoans. Did I say Samoans? Wow. I said Samoans. No, Seminoles. Sorry about that. I'm thinking something else. Okay. Seminoles. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's move on. The rebellion baffled colonial officials in South Carolina. and sent fear throughout the wider American colonies. A slave revolt of this magnitude was unprecedented on the North American mainland, and the strange, bold behavior of these slaves, their effective use of firearms, and their apparent military organization troubled planters and officials who needed explanations for such anomalies. When war broke out between Britain and Spain just a month later, planters in South Carolina were quick to blame Spanish priests and colonial agents based in St. Augustine for inciting the insurrections. The slaves' intentions had fled towards Spanish Florida, and many of the rebels were Catholic. It seemed like a tidy way of explaining away the organized resistance of the slaves. Let's continue here. Historians followed suit with the explanation, and for centuries, the standard interpretation cited Spanish instigation as the source of the rebellion. However, in recent decades, as scholars have expanded their gaze to take in not just European perspectives, but the broader Atlantic explanations for historical events, the exceptional events of the Stono Rebellion began to take on a distinctly African background. Let's go. Significant components of the rebellion slaves in the Stono River Revolt were misidentified as Angolans because of their ability to speak Portuguese and their adherence to Catholicism. In the early 18th century, however, most actual Angolan slaves were shipped directly from Portuguese colonies across the southern Atlantic to Brazil. When South Carolinians employed the term Angolan, they were more likely referring to the coast of West Central Africa, which British ship captains called the Angolan coast. The port of Cabinda, near the mouth of the Zaire River, served as the main point of embarkation for the slave trade in the region. Many of the Africans brought to South Carolina in the opening decades of the 18th century arrived in Charlestown from there, which was Charleston, right? While Cabinda was the port of origin for South Carolina's slave majority, the slaves themselves came from the vast African interior. I've been saying, anyway, let's go. Distinguishing actual identities and backgrounds of African slaves is often impossible. Given the leaders of the Stono Rebellion spoke Portuguese and practiced Catholicism, it seems likely that they came from the Kingdom of Congo, the only region of West Central Africa with a long history of exposure to both Catholic Church and the Portuguese traders. Congo, in the last decades of the 17th and early years of the 18th centuries, was a war-torn kingdom. Since 1665, several factions have fought for control of the Congolese crown, each vying for support for the Portuguese that traded along the coast and the Italian Capuchin monks that brought Catholicism to the interior. In spite of perennial civil war, Congo was one of the most cosmopolitan kingdoms of West Central Africa at the time. Do you see the pattern? What they cause is dissension. Christianity, because they keep saying Catholicism and Christianity is one and the same. Catholicism, remember, the word Catholic simply means universal. Universal what? Universal church. Okay, and the universal church is made up of whom? Christians. So you see the word game that they play around. So this was Christians coming in, and they came in like, oh, this is a peace mission and we want to get to know you guys or whatever. But they brought dissension. What do you see today? Dissension between black folks. You see it happening today. You got people out here like Tariq Nasheed and others out here that are saying all kinds of crazy things about Africans. And likewise, you got people on the continent that are saying all kinds of crazy things about us. And it's a zero sum total. Nobody's winning in it. Meanwhile, it's bringing more and more division. Then, like I said, then you got Hebrews that want to dress like Africans and want to claim that they came through Africa. But if you dare say that, listen, brother, listen, sister, your behind basically traces to Africa, period. They do lose their minds. Don't you dare put that on me. I ain't from there. I'm from the little strip of land up there. It's called self-hatred. But let's continue. Congolese enjoyed a high literacy rate. Listen to your culture. Listen to your identity, who you are. Congolese enjoyed a high literacy rate and were accustomed to dealing with Europeans, having steady contact with the Portuguese from the 16th century on. By the early decades of the 18th century, Congo was also experiencing an era of military innovation. Competing factions for the throne began enlisting massive armies and utilizing firearms procured from the Dutch and Portuguese traders along the coast. The World Economic Forum, and then you got the other banking interests. They still play this game to this day in Africa. What do? They bring in weapons. They say, hey, listen, we'll help you out. And what we're going to do is we'll give you a loan and we're going to bring weapons that'll help you out a little bit. And you can pay us back whenever. Just about every loan that you see that has been given to these African nations, there's weaponry that's tied to it. Don't believe me? All you got to do is look at the movie called The International. If I could stream it, I would stream it for you right now. They break it all down. The movie is called The International, and they break it all down on how it's a movie, but they're telling the truth. Nothing in there is a lie. It's all truth and how these banks get down. And this is exactly how they broke up Congo. All right. At the turn of the 18th century, war raged as João II of Limba challenged Pedro the Fourth of Kimbangu for control over the Congolese crown. In 1704, the tumult in Congo reached new levels as Dona Beatriz Kimpa Vita, now y'all know her, a young woman claiming to be the reincarnated spirit of St. Anthony, began to gather Afro-Catholic followers in the Mbanza region. She called for an end to the civil war while amassing an army of her own. Dona Beatriz ranks grew to over 40,000, and in 1705, the Antonians marched on the ruined capital of San Salvador and occupied it. From her new headquarters, Dona Beatriz negotiated an alliance with João, hoping to consolidate a front against the Portuguese-backed Pedro. The Antonians had bargained on the wrong ally, however, and with the campaign of 1706, João was killed in the battle and his forces collapsed against Pedro's advancing armies. Let me go on here. Oh, it's just a little bit more. I'll just read the rest of it, okay? In the same campaign, Pedro intercepted Dona Beatriz Pedro with Portuguese and Capuchin, I hope I'm saying that right, support, tried Dona Beatriz for heresy and burned her at the stake in July of 1706. Over the next 3 years, Pedro's forces waged a war of elimination against the Antonians. The final blow came in 1709 when Pedro took Salvador and sold the remaining followers of Antonioism into slavery. Scholars now estimate that perhaps as many 20,000 Antonians became caught up in the transatlantic slave trade over this tumultuous period. Civil wars continued to rage across the Congolese province for another 3 decades, and with each defeat or victory, thousands more captured combatants entered the transoceanic world of slavery. So they brought division, Christianity brought division, and then as a result, we all lost. And we were all sold into slavery. So if you want to know what is the root of why black folks seem like we can't get together, this is the root of it. It started all the way back here. Anyway, let's continue. By taking in this African element in the story, which for years was either unknown or ignored, a fuller picture of the Stono Rebellion emerges. Thousands of slaves in the South Carolina had West Central African origins. Many of these Africans were enslaved during the Congo Civil Wars, explaining their Catholicism and Portuguese language. It seems clear that at least the leadership among the Stono River had military experience, familiar with firearms and volley tactics. While colonists may not have understood this Congolese background, their actions in the aftermath of the rebellion are telling. The South Carolina legislature passed the 1740 Negro Bill, which banned slave assembly, and planters petitioned slave importers to avoid any more slaves from the Angolan coast, as these were perceived more dangerous and liable to rebel. After the rebellion, South Carolina importers began to look to Upper Guinea coast instead, where they hoped to find less dangerous slaves. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness today. Oh my goodness. For my people in the UK, oh my days. The varying African origins of slaves influenced how they acclimated to the New World slavery and shaped the broader history of early America. Along the Stono River in 1739, the distinct background of a group of Congolese veterans enabled them to harness their military experience from Africa to resist bondage across the Atlantic and South Carolina. So these slaves these Africans that they brought over. Hold on, let me change this here. Okay, there we go. And make that a little brighter. So they said, no, these people, they will kill you. They will kill you. So no, we can't have these. We got to stop getting Negroes from this part of Africa. Because what they did here, oh no, we can't have them in there. So what do we have to do? Let's start procuring slaves from up the coast. Well, let's think about this for a moment here. What's up the coast? Ghana. Now, this ain't no shade to our brothers and sisters from Ghana. This ain't no shade to our brothers and sisters who come from that part of Africa. It's no shade on them because they had some warriors up there too. But isn't it interesting how they have opened it up? All Ghana, and they're saying this is the door of return, Negroes. Come on back. This is your place here. This is you right here. This is you all day. Come on here. Come on back. Ghana is your place. It's you. It's you right here. And you got all types of people. When Hollywood gets in and starts promoting it, you better start scratching your head and looking at that with your eye, giving it the stink eye. They want to make sure, according to this, what I just read here, that you identify with the part of your history that is least aggressive against white supremacy. That's what they wanted. And that's why you don't hear too much about a door return to Congo, do you? And if they had one, they wouldn't be promoting that one, would they? They wouldn't dare promote that one. Because if they promoted that one, they know it would be a whole nother level. Whatever it is, they do not want you connected to that. We'll put you up there. You can go up there. You can connect with that all day. But honey, don't go down too far. Don't go down too south, because if you go too far south, you connecting with a whole nother level. Because what they were able to do here in South Carolina, oh no. We can't have that. We can't have that. Now, going back into the article, they also mentioned something about drums. And they talked about in the account, if you read the full account, because this is just an article here that pulled from, and they got sources at the bottom. So if you want, they just making stuff up. They got sources. You can check them out. It's all at the bottom of the article. But what they said in these slave revolts, these early slave revolts, the common thread was the drums. And he talked about how these drums, there was something about the beat of these drums that it caused attention. It brought attention. And, that was the language in many of these indigenous cultures, not just in Africa. You'll see this here in the Americas. The drum played a vital role in when it came to going to war and getting down. See, we just watered it down to, it's just a nice beat to shake your behind to now. But the drum it was a very powerful thing in calling order, bringing attention to, going into war, sending instruction, getting direction. That's what the drum is for. So these different drums that you see today, even in these bands and stuff like that, many of those drums originated in Africa. Yeah, they got tweaked here and there, when you start going in the Caribbean and then, Central and South America. But they pretty much, they came out of Africa. They came out of Africa. And that's nothing, and you can't deny that at all. But it was something about the drums that actually, so they outlawed it in many places in the United States. Well, what was called in the colonies, they said, no, these Negroes cannot have drums up in here, because every time they start beating them drums, it's about to go down. It's about to go down. So they outlawed them in many of these plantations. They outlawed them. So anyway, what I will say is this: with this story, is quite interesting. Like Sister said earlier, they were not. Let's make that very clear, Darlene. Like Darlene said, they did not blow the shofar. See, this is the one thing, again, is that what we're not going to allow here is for people to come in and to use our history, our true history, and try to season it with some other stuff and then don't match. No, they were not blowing the shofar up there. They were whacking heads, okay? They were whacking heads, young and old. It didn't matter. If you got in their way, you got cut. And they didn't use a shofar. They used a drum. That's very significant, very significant. And don't let anybody tell you any different. And like I said, again, my hat, listen, I was there. I was in that too. That's why I speak about these people lovingly, but I got to be the truth. I got to tell you the truth. I listen to some of these Negroes out here trying to blow the shofar, and it's like, I just stop. Just stop. Now, you will find people on the continent that do blow horns and stuff like that, ram's horns and stuff like that. That's no. But no, they call it a shofar. I'm talking about they're calling it a shofar because the white people call it that. They ain't calling it what the Africans call it. They calling it, well, the white people, y'all say this, we gonna say it too. You call it shofar, we gonna call it shofar too. And that's what they do. They blow, ain't calling and all these times we blow the shofar. What has that done? It sounds good. Look good. Oh man, you being authentic, we being real. But what has it done? Nothing. But you get a bunch of Negroes in the room and you start dropping the bass, what happens? All of a sudden, the whole house about to get turned out, isn't it? That shofar ain't doing nothing for us. It ain't doing nothing. You blow the shofar a day. We like, bro, what you doing? Man, when you going to bring the drums in? Okay, bring the drums. Man, just bring the drums in. Soon as they bring the drums in, it's a whole nother situation, ain't it? It's something that resonates with you, don't it? Ain't nobody got to tell you nothing. You just, all of a sudden, you hear that. You start hearing that beat. All of a sudden, it's like, okay. All right. Now, you listen, you may not even know how to play the drums, but it's something about it that resonates with you in your heart. I mean, just in you. It just resonates with you. Nobody ain't got to tell you nothing. It just resonates with you. Now, contrast that with someone blowing a shofar. That's my challenge to you. All these Morehs out here that want to teach you that, and we going to have to blow the shofar. Just like they say, we got to blow the shofar. Go in the hood and blow the shofar and see what happens. See what happens. See the army that you're going to raise up. Now, you compare that to the Fight the Power video, okay, from Public Enemy. I would play it for you, but Fight the Power, let me play that for you, and you see what kind of reaction you get. It was a time my son, he was going through some stuff in school, and he was like, I want to listen to Public Enemy. I said, no, you ain't ready for that. You ain't ready for that, because see, if we let you start listening to that right now, you're going to turn out the whole school. See, I know the warriors I got up in my house, and I got to make sure, I had to make sure, okay, now, you ain't ready for that. Okay, yeah, that I like Public Enemy. I like their beat. I like their message and all that. But you ain't ready. No, you don't want to hear that beat. Because I know something like it's like pouring gas on a fire. You don't want. So what I'm bringing your attention to is that this is part of your history. This is you. This is your history. You didn't need the Bible for that. You didn't need any stuff. This is you. It just resonates with you. It's innate. It's part of you, right? So that's just one thing. So, so September the 9th, I do see that as a holiday that we should observe, quite honestly. But isn't it something how they trained us not to observe it? We're to talk about the Stono Rebellion, but we can't really observe it. Why? Because they kill white people. Now, am I advocating for us to go out here and kill white people? Of course not. I'm not doing that. Okay, so don't worry. I'm not saying that. But isn't it interesting that, okay, yeah, they kill white people, but seemed like the Revolutionary War, there were white people being killed there too. Oh, but it was white people killing white people, so that was okay. But if we dare talk about black folks that were killing white people, you know, because they were fighting against injustice, well, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's wrong. You see, I'm trying to show you, I'm trying to walk you through the mind games. You see the mind games here? Oh, we can't. No. We can't talk about the Stono Rebellion. You can mention it, but you know, it's not really something to celebrate because you have black people killing white people. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's wrong. It sends the wrong message. We can't. Come on. But Revolutionary War. I mean, we just like, oh man, we were fighting against injustice. Oh, what do you think these Negroes were fighting against? Huh? They were born. They were likewise fighting against. This is why I'm advocating that we should celebrate the Stono Rebellion. Why? Because the Stono Rebellion, they were fighting against a system of tyranny. Now, isn't it interesting that today, what are we fighting against now? Tyranny from the United States, aren't we? So they were fighting against this the foundation of this system that we see here today, all these white people now that are out here screaming and hollering and crying about, oh, they just trying to take all my information. They just trying to control everything I do on social media, everything I say and do. They just trying to control it. They just trying to take everything. They trying to do. Well, you just talking about your freaking account that was banned. What about your family being raped and killed in front of you? Huh? What about that? That's what these people of Congo were trying to fight against, so that the president would stop there and we can have a land. If we're going to be over here, let's have a land where that is not part of the equation. So these, quite honestly, are the ones to celebrate and to honor. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, some white people that are listening to me, you may pick up, you still hung up at, but they were killing white people. Okay, but then why you ain't losing your stuff about the white people that was killed in the Revolutionary War and all the other wars? Why ain't losing your stuff over there? Why all of a sudden now you getting all sensitive when it's black folks doing it? Why you getting all sensitive now? No, they were fighting against tyranny. They were fighting against slavery. Okay, slavery as in separation of families, as in killing folks and starving folks and making them sick and all this stuff, coming up with laws against, slavery. That's what they were fighting against. The very thing that now, if y'all had got behind these brothers and sisters, because I know there's some sisters up in there, if you had got behind them, you wouldn't be complaining about Facebook banning you and blocking you, because Facebook would be saying, you know what, we ain't gonna try that. Because we remember what happened all the way back in Stono. We remember what happened back in Stono now, because when we try to set up a system before like that, them Congo boys, they didn't play that mess. But what did America do? They squashed it, because they said, we don't want this stuff again. We don't want any uprisings like that again, especially from these people. You see what I'm saying? So as far as I'm concerned, family, September 9th, I hope and pray that I do remember. That's my day. I'm going to take off. I'm going to do something. But that's a day that I'm going to take time and to remember. I'm not, and again, you're going to have some white people like, well, you remember because you celebrate white people. I'm not going to go through that whole logic again. The logic wheel again. I've already explained that again. No, I'm remembering the brave lives of these men and women who fought, who did what they could to destroy, to bring down the system that we are under today. And they got crushed, unfortunately, at the end of the day. And then Stono wasn't the only one, of course. There were other uprisings of our people. There was over 400 and something of them. It was many, 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 many of them all throughout the colonies of uprisings of Africans, that were brought in as slaves. So it was many uprisings. We were, like I said on my shirt, we were teaching America how to fight against injustice for over 400 years. We didn't learn it in a book. We were living it. And fighting against injustice didn't start with us crossing our arms and doing a peaceful rally. It didn't start off like that. It started off with some weaponry and setting the line again, setting the tone and saying, not here. That's where our fight against injustice began. And it got squashed. So there you go. So I wanted to talk about this story first because it ties in, we're going to take an element out of this story and we're going to tie it in to this next thing we're going to talk about, which is the larger story. It's about this thing about the watermelon. All right. So I am going to eat me some watermelon. Okay. I'm going to have a little bit of this watermelon here for just a moment. I think I'm going to take a watermelon break. All right. Let me see if I can get the right music on, some watermelon music. Let me see if I can find some here right quick here. Hold on. Yeah, that's good enough. I'll take that. I'm gonna take a watermelon break. And then when I come back, we're gonna get in and we're gonna talk about watermelon. All right. And you're gonna really like the history on this one and how it ties into what I was just talking about. All right, we're back. I get some more of that warm melon. I'm gonna try to make a drink too tonight too. Let me show you how we're gonna do it, what we're gonna put in there. Hey, brother Tyrone, no, that wasn't no Judah. Okay, that wasn't Judah. These are people from Congo. They weren't going around with shofars and crying out Judah. They were not doing that. Okay, we're gonna have to. But that's why we're going through our history. Okay, we're gonna learn. We're gonna get to the truth of the matter. Okay. We're gonna get to the truth of the matter. I love you. We're gonna tell the whole truth on this. These brothers and sisters that were fighting at the Stono River, they were not crying out. They weren't speaking in Hebrew. In the account we just read, they ain't say mention now one thing about Hebrew. Now one thing. Not one thing. Okay. They were about it. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and we're going to continue what we're in this as we're going down memory lane. And again, just remembering that history in of itself is not something, it's not a mystery. It's something that we live, we breathe. It's something that is part of us. It's something that it's part of who we are, Anyway, so let me see, where do I want to begin with this part here? Let me play for you Stephanie Mills. How did this come up? Ain't nobody trying to play no Stephanie Mills. I like her. I ain't trying to. I don't know. Yeah, YouTube be switching up on you. Anyway, speaking of the drums, this is a video. I'm gonna skip through this one here. Now, for my DC people, you guys are very familiar with Go-Go, right? Oh, not Wawa. Well, you probably familiar with Wawa too if you're from DC. But for my DC people, you are very familiar with go-go, aren't you? Go-go music. Now, I was just sharing with my son how it was very interesting to me. Now, I'm in New Jersey. And in New Jersey, New Jersey, Philadelphia, we got our own vibe up here, right? But DC from here, was it about 2.5 maybe? We going pretty fast. I would say 2.5 maybe. Man, it's really not that far. Not to me, it isn't. It's not a country mile. Let's put it that way. Country miles, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it's about, I would say probably about 2.5 from where I am. And it was really fascinating when I would go, I guess maybe once a year, I would go visit my cousin who at that time was living in DC. I think she's still living in that area. She was telling me, she said, oh, there's, go-go music. That's like the thing down here. And this was back like in the 90s, right? She said, oh yeah, go-go music is. I was like, what are you talking about? And then she gave me a tape and I was listening to it. I was like, huh. And what was so fascinating about this was that go-go really wasn't the thing in the Philadelphia area. It was like I literally went to a whole nother world when it comes to styles of music. Philadelphia it was very distinct. It was like when you cross that line, once you start getting into the Baltimore, DC area, it was like, you tap into the music scene. That go-go thing, that was like, and some of y'all who don't remember, like this song, Doing the Butt, you remember that from Spike Lee's movie. If you remember that, the rhythm in that's go-go, right? But you had a lot of, and I'm going to play an example of this too. But this beat it left a mark, and it still is very, prevalent from what I understand in the DC area, but it's all tied back to Africa. It's going to tie back. It's going to tie to where we're going here. Okay. But I want to play just snippets of this video here so you can kind of hear them kind of break down some of the history and some of their influences and all that. So let's take a listen here.
How you doing? My name is Sonny Jane. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm playing this drum called Dhol, and it comes from Punjab, which is in the subcontinent of India. Rhythm is everything to me. It's the way that I walk. It's the way that I talk. It's what gives the heartbeat to my life.
Peace, everybody. My name is Kwaku Sumbri. I'm a percussionist, a West African percussionist, based out of Washington, D.C., and I'll be demonstrating the djembe drum.
What is rhythm to me? When you know rhythm, you know life. Without rhythm, we have no life. Peace.
My name is John Santos from Oakland, California, and I'm playing a rhythm called Wawanko, Afro-Cuban rhythm that has its roots in Havana and Matanzas. Rhythm is ancestors, community. Rhythm is self-expression. Rhythm is food for the soul. Rhythm is resistance. Rhythm is life.
Yeah, hello. My name is Joby. I'm from Ghana. And I'm a percussionist. And I'm going to play apintima. Apintima literally means a palm drum because we use our hands to play. Drum is the heartbeat of my country, the sound of revolution.
Okay, so they each, one of those guys, they're going to play their style of drumming. And I'm just going to fast forward to when they all get together here now. Oh, man.
Hi, my name is Elise Fox, model, mom, and entrepreneur based in
This is go-go here. When you bring it all together here. Okay, so you get the idea there, because I have another one here that I'm gonna play too. Let me segue just a moment, just a brief moment, because they had the brother from India. My son, he reminded me of this video here too. Because India, they got some beat too, man. They be getting down too. But I want you to listen to this. This is like a little mini friendly competition between Africa and India drumming. This is just a little segue, and then we're gonna get back into the go-go thing for a moment. There you go. Ain't that cool? Ain't that cool? All right, so let me see if I can find this other one here. Don't tell me I got rid of that thing. Hold on. Okay, let me see if I can find that right quick. Hold on. Was it this Stephanie Mills thing? I don't know how that came up. I was like, where in the world? What in the world is this? Hold on. I'll just play a little bit more of this. Okay, so this is just an example. I wanted to play this audio. I just wanted to play this example of go-go music. That's one style. But then what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go further south. We're gonna head further south. We're gonna go back down into now we're just getting in the southern region. Okay, so we're going to cross over the Potomac, and we're going to go into Virginia, and then we're going to go down to North Carolina, South Carolina, pretty much all the places where our people were. There is something, another thing that we share in common as a people. It is what we ate, our food. Remember, what we talked about as far as our food is concerned is that our history can be seen in the foods that we eat, the foods that we prepare. I had a gentleman who left a comment on our under one of our videos recently. He said, "Hey, I'm Filipino," and he said that we cook, I still cook Filipino food. It was something to that effect. I said, "Well, you're right." I said, "Yes." I said, "You cook." Basically, your food is a reflection of your culture. It's a combination of the indigenous people that were in what they call today the Philippines, and the indigenous people there, along with the influences of Spain. And your ancestors kept, preserved those foods. And so even to this day, you can be a person of Philippine descent, but you're born here in America. But your food still brings you back to the culture that you're a part of. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, if like I said, again, they could be American twice in terms of their time here in America. They're not an immigrant. Their great grandparents maybe were immigrants, but even with their great grandparents being immigrants to this country, it doesn't matter because they themselves, they're still brought back into their culture every time they sit down and eat. And their food basically brings them back in. It tells their story. Well, black people, it's no different. For us, it's no different at all when it comes down to when we sit down and we eat as well. Our food, our taste generally reflects our culture and who we are. See, we got to get rid of this nonsense out here that somehow that when we came through slavery, that we were blanked out, that our memories of who we are were completely blanked out, leaving us that, oh, well, I guess we just identify with Christianity. Oh, well, I guess I identify with this. See, the goal of religion is to blank you out. That's the goal of religion. Religion is always competing for you to lose your identity in that belief system, regardless of what it is. I'm telling you, regardless if it's Christianity. Well, Christianity is the mother. Anything that falls under that, the ultimate goal is for you to lose your identity, to trade your identity, and to embrace the identity of the belief system, which is whatever the religion is. That's what the goal is. But see, that doesn't work for us. It doesn't really work for anybody. It certainly don't work for us. So it's for us to put that to the side and to begin to discover our stuff and who we are. And as you're doing that, what you're going to see happen is things are going to start getting clearer for you. And it will also begin to manifest in how you eat. Because right now, for a lot of us, unfortunately, there is a blending of the American diet, which is a hodgepodge of all kinds of stuff, right? But when you start putting that stuff to the side, when black folks really get together, you will see traces of our culture that connects us to Africa. I didn't say Israel, Africa, okay? Because if it connected to you to Israel, you would have the solid proof on your plate that shows that. See, us as descendants of Africa, we have recipe books after recipe books after recipe books that we can pull out right now. My mother-in-law passed down to my wife a 3x5 card thing, and it got 3x5 cards in there of recipe after recipe after recipe. You start going through that, a lot of those things were influenced by Africa. And same thing with y'all. Like I said, there's documentaries, there's books, there's all kinds of things on that. And like I said, my challenge, not just to the Hebrew people, but the people said, we're FBA, we ain't from no Africa and all that. Okay, fine. Then what are the recipes that your people, since you're not from Africa, that's 100% indigenous to this land or indigenous to Israel, that you can't find anywhere else but those cultures that you are embracing? Name them. Where are they? And they can't name them. They cannot name them. They'll duck around them. You have one person out here that took some historical account of the Sephardic Jews liking fried fish. And he says, see, we like fried fish too. So they like fried fish. We like fried fish. And that's it. As if they were the only ones on earth that was eating fried fish. They eating fried fish all throughout Asia. They were eating fried chicken all through. That ain't just a black. I mean, we season it to our own liking. But fried fish and fried chicken ain't something that's native to just, to the Sephardics. It wasn't that. But you had people who took that and ran that. And this one person, they were saying, see, they said, they was pulling out scriptures, just random stuff out of scriptures. See, they said, there's a scripture that talks about how the Israelites, they long for melons. See, melons, see, watermelon. That's what it's saying. It's watermelons, leeks, watermelon. That's fish, and then just literally taking stuff, little bits here, little bits there, and trying to staple it together and saying, see, that's no, that's not it at all. So you have to, so again, it takes going through this stuff and you'll begin to see, wait a minute, what are those things that are that just instinctively, it's just us. We just do this. You know what I mean? So that's where you have to begin, your journey as you're kind of going through this stuff, right? Now, so why am I talking about, I had all these drums and stuff up here? Well, there's a reason for that. Now that brings us into watermelon. Okay. Now, when I used to pick watermelon, I was a very random person. I was just like, okay, well, I don't know. The biggest one, I'll get that one. And there was a short period of time where I would just do that. If I was if I went to the grocery store to pick a watermelon, I would just pick a random one. And I tell you, family, I cannot remember how all I know is I believe I saw someone do this. It was a black person I saw, but I can't put my finger on the exact event. But it was something that resonated with me so much that I just started doing it. And so anyway, so I have a short video that I want to play for you. And let's just go ahead and play this right quick. It's very short. It's like it's like a little over a minute. All right, here we go. Just real quick, I wanted to show you guys how I pick a watermelon. I learned this. I don't even know how I learned. I learned it from somebody. I saw somebody in the market. Don't know, but it's just almost instinctive to me now. So basically, what I do is, number one, you look at the bottom and you see the yellow. You see that because that means it's been sitting there for a good time. Now, the thing that I do that's really instinctive is knocking. Now, you probably can't hear it on, maybe you can, maybe you can't. And I don't know what it is. It's just something about the sound that kind of lets me know that, okay, this one is a good one. And I've been doing this for years. And I would say about 95, 96, 7% of the time that we've gotten watermelons, it's all been good, versus me just going in and just taking a chance and just buying anything. It's this whole simple thing of knocking. Like I can hear sometimes when if it's a flat spot, that kind of tells me, I could tell from the tone, if it sounds kind of flat, that's telling me that maybe it's overripe, it's too ripe. But if it's hollow, if it gives me back like a hollow sound, it's telling me, okay, that tells me, okay, then it must be pretty good. But if it's too hollow, then that tells me it's probably not ripe enough. And I picked that up all from the sound of it. And like I said, it's weird because nobody really taught me. It's just something I kind of knew instinctively to do. So anyway, here it is. Yeah. So yeah, it's hollow. It's not saying that the watermelon is hollow. It's just like more of a hollow. It's like a thin sound. I just kind of know. I just know. I saw someone knocking. I was like, And then I just started doing it. And I was like, I think they may be onto something here. And so I remember I brought it home or whatever, and they were. I was like, man, this okay. Maybe that's what it is. That's the trick. Well, anyway, so I'm gonna look into that. And where is it? Here we go. Let's pull this article up here. Acoustic researchers discover link between Nigerian music and watermelon ripeness. Let's take a listen to this. Nigerian traditional drumming employs the same tone gradient as ripe and unripe watermelons. An international collaboration between physicists and music researchers have uncovered the way to determine if a watermelon is ripe. Pat it and listen to the sound it makes. Nigerian music researcher Stephen Onwubiko, I hope I'm saying the brother's name right, who is working with watermelon sellers in the markets in the Igbo region of the country, says the sound begins deep and becomes lighter as the fruit ripens. It is a pattern that also features in Nigerian music. To quantify the sounds, Onwubiko had teamed up with Tracy Nelson, an acoustic physicist at the Brigham Young University in the U.S., as well as music researcher Andrea Callahana from the University of Sydney in Australia, who is taking a mathematical approach to music theory. Nielsen presents the trio findings. Okay, and then they name some of the stuff here. Okay, the team proposes that Nigerians are intuitively in tune to the percussive sounds of watermelons because drumming features heavily in their music. The sound of ripe and unripe watermelons are heard in traditional music, Nelson suggests. An African drum pattern is made from the same two sounds. Onwubiko is a classically trained vocalist and made the connection between sounds in the marketplace and that of the Iba, a cylindrical drum about 70 centimeters long. In their abstract, he and his colleagues says the application of the Nigerian drum beat pattern, pitch, and intonation is an efficient procedure for ripeness detection of watermelon. Deepening on how the pitches are lowered or accented, the melon ripeness is detected. The team reports a successive rate of 60% in detecting ripeness. They now hope to extend the technique to cover the sound of spoiled watermelons too. The researchers are exploring the connection between the measurable acoustic experience and the listener's perception in a field known as psychoacoustics. Wobiko suggests that most Nigerians are not explicitly aware of the relationship of ripeness to the sound. Most people don't have much an idea about the noises around them or how they affect them. He says everyday experiences, even the decision making, are influenced by the sounds around us. He's exactly right. So what they're saying is this whole thing of knocking, it ties into something. It's the frequency that's communicating something. And again, when you think of Nigeria is, how can you even put Nigeria? Nigeria is a hodgepodge of many, many cultures. When you read the history of Nigeria, you have people who call themselves Nigerians, on a state level, but there's so many different cultures that were all pushed there thanks to colonialism. You got, like, I think one half of the country is Christian, the other half is Muslim. Then you got, like I said, all these different groups, subgroups. There's just so many of them. And so there's a lot, so there's a lot going on in Nigeria. There's a whole lot going on. So when they mention Nigeria, don't think of it as just a country. You had all kinds of people coming through and are still in Nigeria to this day. But anyway, my point is that this is something that it was people that when they studied the music that was coming out of Nigeria, the actual tone of the drums of these instruments, two of the drums, it matches the same tone of what a ripe watermelon sounds like. And, one can kind of say, well, maybe you just kind of, you're reaching there. But this whole sense of knocking, to detect if something is ripe or not, there are many. The more I start looking around and asking, this is a common practice by a lot of black folks particularly down in the South, that this is one of the ways that you can tell if a watermelon is ripe, and it was the knocking thing. And so for me, what I was really blown away about is the fact that this was yet another thing that somewhat is instinctive. You know what I mean? Like I said, again, I think I saw someone do it once, but nobody explained it to me. I just kind of figured it out, and, I would say more often than not, we always get a very good watermelon. I could tell when I'm knocking on it, when it's overripe or is not, I'm gonna leave that one alone, is when it's a very flat sound. See, this ties in back to the series that we did on light, frequency, and sound, light and frequency, and how, we're made up of frequency. There's light, sounds, all these things play a major role in who we are and the environment of his creation. They all are very important for us to understand these things. And so even exposing yourself to sunlight, you're exposing yourself to so many healing frequencies. This is why, you had hospitals, when we talked about this back in the day, they used to have a whole wing dedicated to exposing their patients to sunlight so that they can get healed. And they had amazing results to that. So, but this right here, I found to be quite interesting because it ties into something that I was just doing intuitively and wasn't even thinking about it. But to find out that this is something that once again, it traces back to Africa. Again, it's the proof. It's the tangible evidence that I can put my hand on and say, okay, all right. So this goes beyond this thing here, this book here. I'm talking about the Bible, because the Bible ain't talking about any of that stuff. So I'm following some real breadcrumbs that are very evident and I can see in my life, and I found that to be quite interesting. But more on watermelons, period. It's a couple of things here. Did you know, and we talked about this before, there is there's many types of watermelons, but you have one called the Congo watermelon. Did you know that The Congo watermelon is a wonderful tasting, gigantic size, long, dark green watermelon that can grow up to 50 pounds. Wow. This variety produces a firm, sweet flesh that is 9.4 sugar. As a grown watermelon, it can be over 2 feet long and 1 inch wide. 2 feet? Okay. The skin that has deep green stripes on it and medium green body. Yeah. So check that out. So it's a watermelon actually called the Congo watermelon. All right, there's more. Let me see if I can find this article here. Let me see. I'll just pull this one up here. Which state has the nation's top read it right. What state is the nation's top watermelon producer? Now I've seen this, and I've also seen them say Utah too. So I'll read this one. They said summer means, okay, blah, blah, blah. The Sunshine State is the top producer of watermelon in the United States. The University of Florida Institute Food and Agricultural Sciences says Florida farmers sold 800 million pounds of watermelon last year. The largest growers near the Immokalee, Belgrande, Arcadia, and the Swanee Valley, which produces a third of the state's watermelon crop. Swanee. It's a Bantu word. Is actually in Swanee. That was the name of the town I was actually trying to think of. You have Swanee, Georgia. It's also in Swanee. I mean, it's also Swanee Valley in Florida, but it actually is a Bantu word. It's called in Swanee. In Swanee. It's the N apostrophe Swanee. That's where it comes from. It's not Indian like people would suggest. No, it's not. The research center assistant director. Okay, it says watermelons are made of 92% water. Okay, so that's that. When you look at our history, though, and I'm pretty much done here. So Nicole, if you're watching, you can come on in at any time. But when you look at our history of watermelons, the watermelon was very key to us during slavery. It was very, very key. It was something that was brought over to this, to the Americas. There's different varieties of watermelons. Let me see if I can play or find that video here, because I meant to have that queued up, and of course I didn't have that one. I didn't have this one queued up. But there's different varieties of watermelons. Here we go. Let me see if I can. This is a lady giving a talk about it.
When I wrote this title about narrowing down the early domestication history of the watermelon with ancient seeds and DNA, I couldn't have known how true it would be, and you will see at the very end. Okay? So
I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play clips of it.
Easily identified plants. All of us know a watermelon when we see it in the United States. Okay, another species from West Africa. This is also used still today in baking powders. Those names were synonymized in the 30s, which created the idea that watermelon might originate in South Africa. The plant is also indeed domesticated. This species is also domesticated. If you boil the rind in sugar long enough, you get a wonderful jam. The photo by one of my students here. And this is also used still today in baking powder in the United States. Okay, another species from West Africa is this one. It's domesticated for its tasty, oily seeds, which are used in many local dishes there. The seeds are ground up and they're the main component in these stews. Another species is this one from North Africa, also famous. This one is extremely bitter, and it's used as a diuretic and maybe also for abortion medicine. I'm
going to skip here.
C14 dating. For example, this basket or fragments of a basket, C14 dated to 8,790 before present. This is the site where we have the oldest citrullus seeds. So now, where was citrullus domesticated? Let's put this data I have given you so far on the map. We have, I don't have a pointer, or maybe I do. Sorry. The oldest seeds from Libya, basically. This thing domesticated for its seeds, or used for its seeds, and the earliest genome sequencing of citrullus, which came out in Nature in 2013, actually placed this thing as very close to the domesticated watermelon, but there species sampling was completely incomplete. They only had domesticated and this West African thing. So, okay. So this was.
She's gonna go on. It's an interesting talk. She's just giving like the history of talking about the domestication of the watermelon and tracing all of it back to Africa. Watermelon was then, over time it was brought here to the, not only did we come over, they brought us as slaves here into the Americas, but they also brought watermelon as well. Watermelon was something that was very instrumental for us as a people during slavery. That was one of the things we oftentimes talk about, how they, force us to eat pig feet and all this other stuff. And that's true. But also watermelon was one of those things that they allowed us to eat. And they said, okay, this is the one thing. And it was something that really preserved us, because watermelon, like we just read earlier, 92% water. So you're getting water. And you're not just getting any water, you're getting water that's been purified by the earth. And you're getting all those minerals and potassium. You're getting all kinds of things. And she mentioned the rind. I was watching someone the other day who actually, they were juicing a watermelon, but they didn't just juice the red part. They put the whole thing, the skin in there. And according to this person that I was watching and listening, he said the most the most healthiest part, where you get the most benefit, isn't the red. It's actually the green part. The green and the white, because see, the green, and you're getting that chlorophyll, and in the white you're getting whatever's in there as well. So he said, if you juice a watermelon, you need to juice the whole thing, not just the red part, but the whole thing. So, but my point is, our people were eating these watermelons and it was preserving them. Now, after the, slavery or whatever, the whole slavery thing, watermelon was something that our people, it was one of the first businesses that we were allowed to have, and that was selling watermelon. Because again, this was something that we brought from Africa. It brought us through slavery, and we were the masters of it for the most part. It was something that kept us. And so a lot of former slaves were selling watermelon. They were doing it. That was like a big thing, to sell watermelon. And so even to this day, you will see that, there's some people that have businesses where they actually go, like this one guy here, I don't know if this is in this video, it was a video I was watching, where this one guy literally drives, I think he does it once a week. He literally drives from Georgia to New York once a week, and he's selling seeded watermelons. The name of his business, I think, is called the Black Seed Boys or something like that, where they sell seeded watermelons from Georgia and Florida. And so he's not the only one. There are many black folks who still make it a major business where they're selling watermelons, because it's it's part of history. It's part of who we are. And it's something that kept us. But we, it's these white people that basically made it to where they, clowned us on it and, made fun of us because, watermelon and all, you watermelon eating and all this other stuff. But it was something that preserved us. And it was something that it traces back to Africa. It came from Africa. So if you're looking for, to bring all this together, and what I'm talking about, this is, so when we're talking about this watermelon thing versus the Moreh versus the black preachers. To recap again, at the very top, in the beginning of our discussion, I was just saying how, the job and the role of Morehs or black preachers is to keep you tied to an alternative history, because that's the role of religion, is to keep you, to have your identity wrapped up in a book that came from your oppressors. On the other side of the aisle, we have the watermelon. And the watermelon is just one thing here. So we learned today that, the history of where the watermelon came from, but we also learned, just the whole thing of us tapping on it and the frequency, and how the frequency communicates to us the condition of this fruit. Now, that's just watermelon. There's another thing too. See, the whole knocking on things like that, that's not anything new. Was that you telling me the knock on wood thing?
Oh yeah, about it being demonic.
Right. So you got you ever heard this phrase called knock on wood? Well, that's a whole nother thing. I don't want to get into that, but basically it's demonic. It comes out of Europe, where it involves demons. They will knock on trees and all that stuff. So again, if you want to understand your creator, you first have to make the effort to understand his creation. That's the whole point that we're trying to make here. We don't need their books. We don't need their stuff to get us to help us to understand who he is. He's telling us every day, right outside your windows and out your doors, who he is. It's just, you just have to commit yourself and learn it. It's just as very simple as that. And so, so that's what that's what we're talking about. That's what I wanted to share with you as far as this whole watermelon thing, and why it's so important and the significance of it when it comes to our identity. But like I said, that's just one thing. We also talked about beats and rhythms and stuff like that. And all these things are innate. They're just part of us, right? And like I said earlier too, I'm just kind of recapping. You take a shofar and blow it in the hood, that ain't doing nothing to nobody. They ain't raising up nothing. But if you start playing the fight the power beat, you gonna tear that whole. It's on. We ready to go down on that point, right? So that's how it goes. So anyway, so I just wanted to share that. That's a little bit of our history, in identifying and learning a little bit more about who we are. So anyway, so I'm finished on my part. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be adjusting this camera a little bit so I can have the sunshine of my life. So we can bring some ray of sunshine in here, and we get her on here. Okay, so give me just a moment.
I'll be short, real short.
Let me see if I can play something here. Hold on. See, hold on. All right, I'll just play that a little bit while I'm adjusting it. While I'm adjusting here. Okay, hold on for just a moment. Okay. Can you can't come over anymore? Okay. You got your mic and all that. Okay, good.
Yeah. I'm gonna be short.
Okay.
If y'all are still awake. What time is it? Oh, it's 9:00. Okay. All right.
Okay. So you good? You got everything you need? You need me to get anything?
You want to check your text messages.
Oh, okay.
And your email, your Gmail.
Okay. Say hi or something.
Hey, family. I always look this way. I'm looking at the screen, but I guess the camera's up this way. Hey, family. Those of y'all, I guess, look, Wanea, it's the West Coast. It's just 6:00 for you. Those of you on the West Coast, those of you on the East Coast, your eyelids might be getting a little heavy. But while he's bringing this stuff up, I ran across something today. I was like, what? I mean, it was one of those, what? Oh my word. Like, oh my word. So I'm going to share it with you. It has nothing to do with Samba Tree or nothing like that. It's just something that came across my timeline, and I was just in shock. Now, all right, so
you want me to start off with this one?
Yeah, in a second. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so hey everybody in the chat. I see y'all saying hi. Hey everybody in the chat. Only Pamela's away. Okay, you know how if you are on Instagram or TikTok or wherever your social media platform of choice, if they're going to show you content, right? That's maybe somewhat similar to what you look at. So for me, my timeline is, juicing and natural recipes or alkaline diet or health tips or, gardening and all this stuff, right? And so this pops up on my timeline. I don't know who these people are, but I wanted forget about what they're showing, okay? Because whatever the images are they're showing are really not related. But listen to what is being said in this video, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I don't know what that pyramid is supposed to be there for, but like I said, just listen to what they're saying. Make sure the volume's up. I don't know who she is,
the
y'all.
Frequency of fabrics via Dawn Treader. In 2003, a Jewish doctor named Heidi Yellen conducted a study on the frequencies of fabric. According to this study, the human body has a signature frequency of 100, and organic cotton is also the same. The study showed that if the number is lower than 100, it actually puts a strain on the body. A diseased, nearly dead person has a frequency of about 15, and that is where polyester, rayon, and silk register. Non-organic cotton registers a signature frequency of about 70. If the fabric has a higher frequency, it gives energy to the body. This is where linen comes in as a super fabric. Its frequency is 5,000. Wool is also 5,000, but when mixed together with linen, the frequencies cancel each other out and fall to 0. Even wearing a wool sweater on top of a linen outfit in a study collapsed the electrical field. The reason for this could be that the energy field of wool flows from left to right, while that of linen flows in the opposite direction, from right to left. I have observed that when I wear synthetic clothes on a rare occasion, I get a...
Okay, you could take that off. I'm tired of looking at that spooky woman. I don't know. Anyway, literally. Okay. All right. Now. Okay. Now, you can't believe everything that you see, everything that you hear. Okay. So, you know, whether you find it on Instagram, TikTok, you know, you got to go and research this stuff. You know what I mean? Because people be making stuff up. Okay. Well, so I went and I did that. Now, mind you, this just came across my timeline today. So I haven't had a whole lot of time. All right. But I want to first of all, I just want to review a little bit of what they just said, what you just heard. All right. And let you know that, yes, I did look into this. Dwayne, can you bring up, well, first, let me start here. Can you bring up, no, let me start here. Okay. The reason why I'm hopping on at the end was because I was working today. So I was like, just put me at the end. I got stuff to do. All right. So forgive me if it's a little bit all over the place. Okay. I went to Walmart. Okay. I saw some undergarments. Okay. The brand of the undergarments, maybe Dwayne, if you can pull it up in another window, is called Joy Spun. JOYSPUN. It's some new line they're carrying it at Walmart. Okay. And so I said, oh, okay, some underwear. Looks comfortable. It's really cheap. It was like $7 for, I don't know, 6 of them or something like that. Maybe images, babe. Never mind. Maybe go back to the website like you were saying, because I don't want to show no pictures of bras, but
yeah, I don't want nobody dealing.
No, go back to the website. There was a website you found. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah. All right, never mind.
That's
y'all.
good.
Never mind, because every picture is like a woman in her bra, so we don't need to show that. Here's the bottom line. It was inexpensive. And I said, oh, let me try them, right? Okay, so I did. Mind you, there are some comfortable, like exercise type, bras, whatever, also at Walmart. Let me try those. Now, you are my witness, Dwayne. Recently, I've been saying, my stomach is like itching. what's going on? I haven't changed my lotion. I haven't changed my soap. I haven't changed my, the laundry detergent. My stomach is itching. Somewhere around my thighs are itching. What is going on? Like, what is going on? And I said to myself, I said, you know what? I wonder what's up with that fabric in those undergarments. And I thought to myself, because it's like polyester. What is polyester? What is that? Like, what is that? Right? And I'm like, I wonder if it's the fabric. I don't know. And I started thinking, and I think this was even before I started having a reaction, but I started just thinking about, I probably need to go back to cotton. You're right, Willie Rivers. It's too cheap. You got to think it's too cheap, right? If it's too cheap, beware. Long story short, I told my husband, I told my daughter, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go back to cotton. I'm gonna start looking for some cotton undergarments because I don't trust all this stuff that's out here. I just don't trust this. Okay. So, when I would switch out my undergarments from, get rid of the rayon or the spandex or whatever it is, and just go back to cotton, I was fine. No reaction, no itching, nothing. And then this video pops up on my timeline. And so what that video was saying, and I'm going to show you something else in a minute. What that video basically was saying is that the bodies, now you know that, Dwayne, I just texted you.
You want me to post in that?
Yeah, this top one. Okay. If you haven't heard, right, every organ has a frequency, like a measurable frequency, not like the frequency, the vibration. Like, no, you can attach your device, whatever your measurement device is. And this is from a study. I can put the links in the description. I'm not gonna be able to put them in the chat because I don't have the window up right now on my computer, but I can put it in the description. Anyway, so this right here is, different parts of the body where the frequency is measured in megahertz. Okay. So you can connect the body to a measurement device and gauge the amount of frequency in megahertz. All right. So as you can see, the healthy body, a genius brain frequency is between 80 to 82 megahertz. The brain frequency range is between 72 and 90. And then it goes down, right? Human body just collectively, right? Between 62 and 78. And it just goes down, right? Thyroid, thymus gland, so on and so forth. Now, you heard in that video, they said the signature frequency of the human body rests around 100 megahertz. Now, I just found this out today, right? So I'm looking into the difference between just measurement, like you see on your screen, and like the signature frequency. Okay. I think that has to do with they call it denoising the frequency. Again, just hearing about this today. Okay. But they did a study and the signature frequency of the human body rests around 100 megahertz. Dwayne, can you bring up that next screenshot? This is healthy body. And I'm going to show you now a diseased body. Go. And then I'm going to show you a picture here in a bit. The diseased body. All right. Colds and flu start at about 57 to 60 megahertz. Disease starts at 58. Candida is something. We should do a whole video on Candida. It's nuts. It's nuts what Candida does in the body. Receptive to cancer at 42 megahertz. What's that saying is that as the frequency of the body decreases, it becomes more exposed to disease. Okay. We've talked about this in some lessons that we've done before. You can take that down, Dwayne. Thank you. Now, as you heard on that video, if the signature frequency, which we're still learning about, that rest of the human body, healthy human body, rests around 100, and organic cotton, all right, it sits between 100 and 110 megahertz. That's very compatible. It's very complementary to the body, right? To just sustaining and maintaining a healthy frequency in the body. Then they said rayon, polyester sits at 15, I think they said 10 to 15 megahertz, which is the same as a diseased body close to death is about 15 megahertz. So when you wear clothing and garments that like the polyesters and the rayon, it actually pulls on the body. It drains the body. But then they said linen, they call it a super fabric. Some cultures call it a healing fabric. And organic linen carries a 5,000 megahertz frequency. So it actually it enhances, it charges, it helps heal the body. I want to show you something because this is crazy. Can you bring up your email?
Which one?
8. Or connect. Okay, so as he's bringing that up, there you go, that first one right there. I'm going to show you. No, let's start with, let's start with the third one. The third one. And you guys, it's going to be short. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you a picture and tell you something that this was really kind of confirmation for me. Okay, so this is an article talking about the study that was done, right, on vibrational frequency of clothing. Who knew? Okay. And yes, does the Bible talk about linen? Yes. Does the Bible talk about wool? Yes. Does the Bible go into not mixing the two? Yes. So does Egyptian cultures and sources talks about these clothing. I don't know much about Indian culture, but I bet they got it in there too. A lot of these ancient cultures, they knew what was up. We're the ones that are just really, we're just out of sync, so to speak. All right. We're the ones trying to catch up. Okay. So this video, I guess they took the video down. All right. So did you know that if you have sheets of linen, they say this considered holy attire. Again, that's going back to these different cultures we talked about. Linen, a natural fabric. Did you know linen was made of flax? Linen is made of flax. Flax, like the flax plant that flax seeds come from. So linen, natural linen, comes from the flax plant. Sleeping in linen helps a person fall asleep faster and deeper. It improves the mood. It helps with rapid healing from surgeries, which is why hospitals have used linen sheets in the past. The sheets used to be linen, y'all. Because linen is resistant to fungus and bacteria. The sheets used to be linen.
Now they just stink.
I don't know what they are now. Right. Okay. Linen creates a barrier to some diseases, helps to regulate your temperature. Okay. Now, we're electric beings. Every cell in our body is a battery. Whether we realize it or not, the vibrational frequency of fabric impacts us through touch. Okay? This can change our energetic and our functional state. All right. Now, super fabrics. Okay, so they go in, they talk about made from flax, the flax plant, 5,000 megahertz, also wool megahertz. What they were touching on in the video, they were saying you don't wear linen with wool. All right. A lot of y'all will remember that from the Bible, but you don't wear linen with wool. Okay. And they're saying just because the current or the frequency flows from left to right in wool and from right to left in linen. So they're each 5,000, but they cancel out to 0 if you wear them together. Right. Which is interesting. But most people wear linen in summer and wool in the winter. So that's probably not going to be an issue. Here's the thing. So organic cotton. I told you I was looking for cotton. I said, I'm going back to cotton. I don't know what all this stuff is, spandex and rayon and polyester. Now they got recycled. I think that's what that joy spun was. It was like recycled polyester.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what. It could be plastics and stuff in there. You don't know. You don't know what they got us out here wearing. Organic cotton, actually, they say 70 to 110, but what I've read in these different studies, it sits right around 100 to 110. Non-organic cotton, like what's in your closet, maybe your t-shirts, bleached and or dyed. Just catch the wordplay there. I'm going to dye my hair. I'm going to dye this fabric. It may be spelled D-Y-E, but trust and know there is a D-I-E happening. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. 40 to 70 megahertz. So it's not great. All right. It's not great, but better than your rayon and your polyester. Most of us in our closets have a ton of rayon and polyester and all kinds of stuff. Your workout clothes, spandex, a ton of stuff. Okay. All right. So this right here just shows you rayon up to 15, polyester up to 10, spandex, lycra, all this stuff. All right. Now, what was interesting for me, silk up to 15. Now you would think, wait a minute, silk is natural. Why does it have such a low frequency? When they make silk today, the cocoons are boiled with the worms in it to unravel the fibers, and they use chemicals to unravel the fiber. So it brings that natural frequency down. All right. So again, this is literally just it's a very practical illustration of what happens when you're introducing synthetics, chemicals, and these things that are not natural into and onto your body. Well, we talk about it with food all the time. We talk about pesticides on plants. I know you got a story behind us, like pesticides on plants and all kinds of synthetic oils that your food is being fried in when you go and get the French fries and whatever, and they're frying it in highly refined soybean oil and cottonseed oil and sunflower and all this stuff. Just like that's damaging to the inside of your body. This, I'm showing you, even the clothes are defiled. Even the clothing in this crazy world we live in, even the clothing is defiled and meant to bring you into a lower, to operate on a lower level. Okay. And then I just want to show you, let's see. Okay, any healthy individual with a signature frequency now of 100, wearing low energy fabrics, it's going to have a strain on their body. We've been led to believe genetic predisposition can cause illness. It's important to stress these non-healing fabrics are also destructive. Wearing them constantly reduces the immune system and the cells inside the body where cell-to-cell communication ceases. This leads to accelerated destruction. Let me just say this. Listen, when you hear something like this, you might say, oh my gosh, let me go clear out my whole closet. Well, hello, I'm not wearing linen. This is probably some rayon polyester mess. But guess who's going to be in the fabric store this weekend? Hello, I am. Yes, I'm going to be looking for some linen. Okay. Let me stop. How about they even talk about hemp fabric?
Yeah, I've heard
hemp
that.
fabric. I guess this is new, something new. I don't know. Plant a lot of hemp in the land of Fukushima. Hemp's vibration has the potentiality to purify the contaminated environment made by radiation. Listen, the plants, the herbs, just nature itself is put here to aid us if we use it properly, right? If we operate in balance with it. Now, okay, so let me go, Dwayne, can you go to I don't. Yeah, there's more information, but let me not. Let's not do that. Let's go to your text message. Okay, so let me tell you this. Real quick, and I'm done. All right. You know how we just talked about linen having a frequency of 5,000, right? I never knew that. When in just a second. When I was in high school, I loved linen. I wore tons of linen. I had linen suits. I know what high schooler wears suits. I don't know. I was that person, I guess. But I was like a clothes horse back then. In college, I loved linen. And don't let it be white linen. Oh, I loved white linen. Always wore it. I mean, anytime I could get my hands on white linen, I wore it. Dwayne's going to pull up a picture. Yeah, somebody said, was that Talk Truth? I don't get, was it Team Truth? I couldn't see. Said, talk about high fashion. Exactly. This is Dwayne and I. This is our engagement photo. What are we wearing? White linen. I have a white linen dress on. That was many moons ago and many sizes ago. Hello, and many pounds ago. Hello, help me. Help me, Father. Restore me.
And many hairs ago. Many hairs ago.
Many hair follicles ago. Okay. That's all right. I like your bald head, baby. I like your bald head. So this was our engagement photo, right? I don't know why we're looking all serious, like we're gonna, I don't know what that was about. We were on a mission, right? But linen. I loved linen. I love linen. You could take that down, right? But what am I saying? When I was in high school and college, I didn't know anything about the frequency of fabrics. What are you talking about? I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know that polyester and rayon's not good and linen was great for you. I didn't know that. But I was drawn to it. I gravitated towards it. I felt great when I wore it. I felt happy. I loved wearing it. And I wanted to wear it. And that was something I remember having a white tunic, right? It buttoned up to here, long sleeve pants. And my friend said, what are you, some kind of, you going to see Gandhi or something? What you wearing, right? Like, what I wish I had a picture of it. But, I was, I was covered head to toe pretty much, in linen. I loved it. Now, I didn't know this, but I knew this. What I'm saying is all of the things that we are uncovering, rediscovering, unlearning to relearn the right way. I said at the beginning, years ago, that this was going to be a total restoration.
Yes.
Total restoration, right? Right. So as for our people, we are being restored.
Yes.
Completely, right? So what am I saying? I was drawn to that linen, not knowing what or why, but the creator of heavens and earth that made me put it in me. Somehow I was drawn to that, and I knew that it was good and it was for me, and that's what I should be wearing. I didn't know the difference between a natural and a synthetic fabric. I wasn't, whatever. You young, you wear what looks good, whatever. But that was in me because my creator put it in me. I didn't need a book to tell me that. It may be in a book, but I didn't need a book. I didn't know that was in any book. It was in me because he had written it on me and in me, right? So I was walking out what he had already put in me. Again, what am I talking about? All right. In us, right, is an innate, organic, natural, pure, and holy, and undefiled knowing of the creator and his creation and our position in it, how we are supposed to operate in his creation, It's already in us. It's already in us. It just is. It just is. And I'm gonna say this too. This is something that we have to unlearn, what I'm about to say. Now, if you came through church or any other religious institution, blah, 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 but especially from church, I can speak that because that's my lived experience. Now, we were taught that you are a spirit, you have a soul, and you live in a body. You are a spirit, you have a soul, your mind, your will, and emotions, and you live in a body. That's probably one of the most damaging teachings, the way it was taught to me. I'll say, I can't speak for you. Why? Because it leaves the receiver believing that what is important is spirit. That's what's important. That's what you focus on. The body, honey, that's just a case. A little physical exercise, it'll profit you a little bit, but the body is just a casing. That's just, honey, we're going to leave this stuff behind. It's just a casing, but it's your spirit, which is why you can be in prayer. Those of you that pray, you can be in prayer for 2 hours, get up and go grab a bag of Cheetos. Because I'm not judging you, nor am I condemning you. But what I'm saying is, because the body is just a casing, it don't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It's just casing. What matters is those 2 hours of prayer, because they told you that you were spirit, you have a soul, and you're just encased in a body, an earthly suit that doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. But if that's the case, then why, when you're spiritually oppressed, then does it show through worry and stress, a worry and stressed soul that then manifests through ailment in the body, like hair loss or a breakout because I was stressed? Why? Because it's not just a case. They are all one system. Your spirit, your soul, your body, all one system, all connected.
Yes, yes.
There's nothing disconnected here. It's all one system. Right? So what happens is people are lopsided, right? So you get lopsided on the spiritual, right? And you just focus on spirit. I'm going to pray, I'm going to worship, I'm going to fellowship, and you know, the body, the health, I get to it, child. I get to it. I got grace. Or we focus on people, just people. We focus on the soul. What we were told is mind, will, and emotions. Let's go with that for now, for the case of argument, so to speak. So that is, I know I got some mindsets I got to get cleaned up. I know I got some abandonment issues. I got to work on some wounds in this soul. I got some daddy issues. I got to work on that. Or I know I got some, I have some whatever you want to call it, whatever, I got some issues from my past, from my childhood. I got to work on that. I'm going to do some soul work. And then the body, you think about it. Okay, let me clean up my diet. Let me do some exercise, as if they are mutually exclusive. I am here to tell you they are not. The body is very spiritual.
Yes.
The body is very spiritual, right? But we shouldn't worship the body. You got enough of that going around. Just check Instagram. Anyway, people worshiping their bodies and whatever. You know what I mean? Showing them all and doing all of that. All of that's lopsided. But what I'm trying to tell you is that in balance, the way the Creator designed our bodily systems is for it to work as one system. Whether you believe it or not, it does. It works as one system.
Yes.
And so it matters, right? The clothing that we do wear, right? The clothing that we do wear. And that study, that video that we just saw, yeah, like Nguzo Saba said, past emotional trauma, right? Exactly. Now, don't get me wrong. You do need to do that spirit work,
yes,
right? You're communicating with the Most High, your worship, your praise, you're getting to know your Creator. You better do that work. The soul work, getting your mind right, your mindsets that aren't aligned with your creator and how you're supposed to. You better do that work. And the physical work, you better do that work. Yes, it's true. It's true. But I'm just here to tell you that it is all spiritual. It is all spiritual. You don't know that, but the system knows that.
Yes, they do.
And those people that got you wearing your rayon and this polyester, they know it. They know it. And I guarantee you, the same people making the polyester and the rayon got on a linen tunic right now. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because they want to be at their optimum. Well, I'm just telling you that this restoration that is happening right now is, we thought, oh, it's a restoration based on what we can see in the Bible. It's a restoration based on these teachings that we've been told. It's a restoration based on whatever we thought it was based on. But it is, it's so much bigger than that. And at the same time, it's so much simpler than that. It is a restoration of how we are supposed to operate as extensions of our creator or ambassadors of our creator here on the earth.
Yes.
And how we're supposed to engage and operate with this creation. Okay? So the flax plant, go on and take that flax plant and make you some linen and put it on your back and make sure it wasn't bleached or dyed. Go ahead and put that organic cotton on. You picked it, didn't you?
Well,
did you pick it? My people did. My people did. I should be very well acquainted with cotton. Very well acquainted. I should know it better than any other people group. Okay? Because my people knew it. My people knew it. But this is this is the thing. Even while we were in the fields picking the cotton, he had us picking something. Not he had us, but again, what we were picking, it was still right there in harmony with our bodies.
Yeah.
Even then. So again, what I want to say is even in this walk, right? Even as you're unlearning things, even as you're surprised by certain things that are like, whoa, okay, wow, I believe this for how many years, and now what? Like these different things that are coming up that we may be uncovering. What I'm telling you is that he already put it in you.
It's already in you.
The ability and the aptitude and the capability to know him, to know your creator, to know the creator of heavens and earth. And as we've been saying, right? I know that shook a lot of people when you said, you want to know how to get to know your creator? People were like, yeah, worship. Yeah, read the scripts. Yeah, you better praise him. Yeah. He was like, go outside. People were like, you know how you do something like the record player. It's like, what? But even if we take this example here from these people that I don't even know who they were, but even if we take this example of wearing linen at 5,000 megahertz, that's energizing your body, honey, you may be thinking a whole lot clearer. You may be able to receive what your creator is trying to tell you much, much clearer. Those decisions that you've been, going back and forth over, that brain fog might lift. I don't know. I'm not putting my trust in linen. My point is that I'm trying to get aligned with what he intended, how he intended me to live. So let me shed these synthetic, man-made, toxic garments that they told me looked good. Let me try to shed these different things that are very commonplace in this crazy upside down system, but are very foreign to the laws of nature. Very foreign. Let me go back to that. And I guarantee you, I'm going to start seeing clearly, hearing clearly, moving, more decisively. and even be able to be closer to the one that created me more easily, because I'm getting this false fake stuff out of the way. So even if I can't find any linen to wear, all right, because it's not like you can turn your closet into all linen the next day. I mean, and it's not like you're going to wear all white every day. Right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you will. I don't know. But what I can do is I can go find some organic linen and I can lay it across my bed and across my pillow and I can sleep on it at night. I can do that. Even if I can't find, the clothing. So anyway, that's that. I didn't want to belabor the point. There's more. What I'll do is I'll put some of these links to the articles in the description box. You can check it out yourself. And that's that.
Wonderful.
That's that. Yes.
Yeah. So this, in conclusion of everything that we were sharing, today again, is that he has put, and the key to understanding who you are and discovering who you are, it really begins, starts in your home. It starts with you. There are certain things you do that's just innate, and what Christianity has taught us is that you're just you're just sin. Everything about you is just sin and dirty and evil. So you overlook the things that are not. There are things that you just have a natural proclivity to do because it's our Creator. He put that in you. He put those things in you. It's even as simple as, and this may not necessarily be a cultural thing, but it's your body just talking to you. You ever go somewhere, like you just going about your business and all of a sudden you just have a desire for, man, I just want, maybe it's a certain flavor or, you want, your body, the basic one would be like you're thirsty, right? So your body will tell you, okay, go get some water, right? Or get something that's close to it. But when you're dealing with, let's say, someone that's pregnant, for example, that's another extreme, where pregnant women sometimes will begin to develop a taste for an appetite for something specific. Well, that's their body saying, okay, we need vitamins and minerals from that particular thing that you're craving, and it just begins to, so your body will tell you those things. Well, it's the same thing even when you start getting into the cultural aspect. There are certain things, in our DNA, in our bodies, I'm talking about as Black folks, that our bodies have been telling us for a long time. Like I use the example of the shofar versus the drums. The drums, it's like when we hear that drop beat, man, it's a wrap. When James Brown, who came out of South Carolina, by the way, but James Brown and the beat and all that he developed and all of that thing was so powerful. Not only was it powerful in his generation, but it actually kick-started the whole hip-hop genre. So that lifted off a whole nother genre. I mean, so when we hear certain beats, it's just like, it just turns it up. Where does that come from? That comes from, that part of us that came out of Africa, and that's something that we cannot ignore. So when so like I said, again, there's these different movements that are out here that trying to distract you and put you away, kind of time what she was saying as far as, oh, well, honey, that may not be linen or cotton, but it's good enough. It's covering your stuff. That's good enough. No, that's not good enough. And what I think Team Truth said, what's to Tom, what you were saying, how these Western countries are shipping their used clothes to countries in Africa, by the boatloads. And so where it's like, think of like the stuff that doesn't sell on Goodwill. They don't throw it out. They ship it to Africa. And so all these Africans now, it's now become its own a major business now in selling American clothes that have been used. And these American clothes or these Western clothes got all kinds of mixture of different things in there, chemicals and body odor, all that stuff that's all in whatever that's all baked in that stuff now, that they're getting. You see how this cycle, it just keeps going and going and going because of ignorance, because we don't take the time to investigate like what she did, and looking at, let me find out there's something to this. Well, you know what? There is something to it. So now we have the information. What do you do with it? It's up to you. And so that's what we take the time and we go through all this. You're going to present you the information and that's it. from the watermelon, we talked about that earlier, to the Stono Rebellion, talking about that, and how all of those, the key parts of that is all tied to who you are, and how we have to fight hard, family, against those powers that shouldn't be, even if they look like us, that would try to put a blanket over that and try to make it sound like, oh, honey, we don't need to think about that. We don't need to process that. That's like, no, that's part of you. Your part of you is a fierce warrior, to the point where they said, nah, we can't, we got to stop shipping these Negroes here because they're going to tear it up. Well, plus they had, and the connection with the drum, because they were saying the drums, that's really, that rebellion was the one they said, no drums for these Negroes here in the United States. And in the Caribbean and all that, they was just like, whatever. They seriously outnumbering us, so we better let them do something. So all of these things, family, it goes back to our sister Violet. The name of her show, Listen to Your Body. Yes. Yeah. So listen to your body. Your body is always okay. You may want to do this. You may want to do this. You want to try this. Like one day for me, my body was like, it's time to go to the gym. It's time to exercise. I wasn't really thinking about going to the gym or exercising. I was just like, whatever. But one day it just struck me. It was like, start going to the gym. I said, okay, I'm gonna go. And I've been doing it, and going and doing what I need to do in the gym. So listen to that, but by listening to that, even that, you'll begin to hear the Most High begin to start really sharing and revealing a great number of things to you. But it starts with really understanding the equipment that he's already given you. And he's given to all of us. So that's, like I said, again, we want to belabor the point, but we've given an ample amount of information here, enough for you to process. But that's really it. I hope you got something out of this. You have anything else you want to mention or share or whatever?
I liked what a couple of people were saying in the chat, and they said just start little by little in terms of the clothing. Cotton may be, linen may be difficult, but start with cotton. Just start with 100% cotton. You know what I mean? And that's easy. That's something easy. You can, especially in the summer, t-shirts and things like that. It should be easier. And I know I'm gonna end up probably sewing my own clothes. That's probably the end where we're headed. Probably. You know what I mean? Just so I know what I'm wearing. But yeah,
I know I'm gonna have to go through my stuff too. I'm sorry. I've been them $5 shirts from Foreman. I've been getting them $5 shirts, man. Wait a minute, 2 for $5. Come on now, they gotta be
some stuff he comes home with. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. That's going right back in the bag. You can't wear that. No.
But it's 2 for $5. I mean, you can't beat that. 2 for $5, man. And look, you cannot. As long as I don't wash it. Then as soon as you wash it, I look like Mighty Mouse.
I be trying to help him, y'all. But he just insists. So that's why I just buy his clothes for him. It's just some of the stuff this brother comes home with. I'm like,
I'm trying. Hey, I'm trying to cut it, save $1 where I can. But yeah, I'm gonna have to. No more. Look, and don't mess with us. We may be growing some cotton somewhere too. Shoot. Right. Be right out there. What them? Look at that. Look at the funny Negroes. They growing cotton and eating watermelon. That's right. That's
exactly. We are. And what? Pamela said, where can we find the article? I'm going to put, there's probably 4 or 5. I'm going to put them right in the description after we're done. And you can read. Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, okay. As always, family, if you have any questions for us at all, you can always email us. Again, the email address is connect@ journeymanandwoman.com. I was going to say the other one, but no, connect at journeymanandwoman.com. If you have any questions at all, we're on a journey, family.
Yep.
And, there were things that we taught, years ago or a year ago, even, as we find out more and we adjust, and that's what life is all about. And we all should be doing that, just you learn and then you adjust, admit where you're wrong and then you just keep it right on moving. So that's what we're doing. So that's it. And enjoying the whole process
and getting closer to him
and getting closer to him in the process as well. So that is it. That's all we have, family. Thank you so much. I was gonna make a drink here live, but it's 10 o'clock. It's too late. So maybe I'll do that. I'll do that over on Bantu. That would be the afterglow. No.
Afterglow. After show.
Afterglow show. I don't know.
After show.
After show.
Afterglow is something else.
Oh yeah, no, we're not doing that. That's
after show.
Yeah, it's not. We're not rated that way. I'm sorry. Anyway, y'all, thank you so much for joining us. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, whenever you're watching this. Take care, and we'll be talking again soon.
Love y'all.
Love you. Take care now.